welcome friends. This is second live session in this course Introduction to Political Theory, and I am Mithilesh Kumar Jha, your course instructor. In this live session, first few minutes I would like to respond to some of the questions which you have asked on the spreadsheet that was provided to you, and also on the discussion forum. And meanwhile, I would also like you to write your comments and question on this chat section in this live session, and I will respond to them as well. So, as you know, we are going through a very difficult phase of our life due to this global pandemic COVID-19, and exams have been postponed, including for this course Introduction to Political Theory, and we are not yet sure about when this exam will be held. And when such decisions are taken, you will be informed and will provide you the information, but as per now we do not know when such exam could be conducted. Anyhow, so meanwhile you can use the discussion forum and also during this live session for your queries and comments, which I will be very happy to respond. So, learning should continue. You can ask questions related to any of the topics which we have covered, and also something which is related. So, in this live session, one question is of that nature which is not exactly from the topics which we have covered, and yet it seems very connected to what we have discussed over the 12 weeks course. So, the first question is by Srinivas, and the question is, what is the relevance of political theory? And these questions become very crucial, especially in the times like this. So, what role political theory can play in the circumstances we are in? And there is no easy answer to that, and as we have discussed in first few lectures, that there was debate in 1970s and 80s that political theory is dead. By arguing that political theory is dead, many scholars believed that political theory is too much embedded in political thought and also on the normative question. And you know what is normative question in political theory is the question which deals with what ought to be rather than what is. So, what is the actual reality? Political theory has very little to say about it, and therefore, many scholars argued in 70s and 80s that political theory is dead. However, we have seen that how political theory also transformed or evolved in not just arguing about the normative question, but also explaining the realities, the practical problems that we face. However, while doing that, it has maintained a degree of generality. That means, political theory tries to explain a political phenomena in a particular context, but while explaining it, it also transcends that particular context. And that distinguishes political theory from, say, Indian politics or American politics and so on. And we have seen that how political theory continue to help us make sense of our politics, the complexities that is involved in the political arguments and so on. So, political theory as a discipline will remain a relevant subject of inquiry so long as there is relevance for politics. And as you know that our human life, our collective life is deeply shaped and conditioned by the politics, and politics is understood usually in the narrower sense about the power, but politics is also about how to hold that power accountable, how to hold the power responsible for the things it does, and how to make the society, state and governance better and better. And over the centuries we have seen that how state, the process of governance, the rule of law, demands for transparency and accountability has developed, and we are becoming more and more better governed society, community, and asking question to those who hold power. So long as politics or political remain important, we will have to engage with the political theory. So you cannot really set aside the question of normative, which requires. So in political theory there is a kind of first order theorization and the second order theorization. Second order theorization is basically about the facts and the figures that is there in the world, and on the basis of that we develop an understanding or a perspective on politics. However, society or community cannot avoid the moral question or the normative question, and to deal with moral question and normative question we will always need political theory, and that is how I see the relevance of political theory now and in future, and without that it is impossible to think about politics, to argue about political problems. So political theory as a discipline remain a very relevant subjects. So that is my answer to Srinivas' question on the relevance of political theory. There is one question on this, can you also lecture on existentialism? And okay, I will look at your question which you are putting in the chat box in a while. I will like to answer this question on existentialism, and I do not get the exact name of the person who has put up this question, but we do not have a separate lecture on existentialism and we are not going to have one, but I will use a few minutes during this live session to explain what is existentialism and what is its take on politics or human being as such. So this tradition of thinking such as empiricism we attribute to Hume, or rationalism or enlightenment thinking to Immanuel Kant. The tradition of existentialism is attributed to Jean-Paul Sartre in the post Second World War Europe, particularly in France, and the central thematic of the existential philosophy is that there is no essence of human being, or there is no essence of human life. In other words, the existence of human being precedes any kind of essence that we attach to it. So you can think of Plato, Aristotle, or even Descartes. We try to understand human being by attributing certain essence, and for Plato and Aristotle in in their philosophy, that human being ought to behave according to his innate nature. So there is a kind of essence in human being in different classes, and they are ought to behave and act according to that essence. Existentialism denies any such essence that we attribute to a human being. Human being through his life choose how to become, how to act. So existentialism argues about a self which is practical, embodied being in the world. So we realize ourselves, we get meaning in our life when we participate in the world, or when we choose to participate in the world. So there is as such no predestined meaning available in the world for the human being. Human beings seek the meaning when he or she act upon his life. So, in a sense there is no preordained essence to human life. You can trace this kind of philosophy to certainly Martin Heidegger, Being and Time, and also Nietzsche, the idea of God is dead, and nihilism. So, there is no meaning available already. So, there is a kind of void, there is no right and wrong as such. We human being make something out of our life by acting upon, by deciding. The act of choosing therefore becomes very important, and the root of this kind of thinking is also in Edmund Husserl, where he talks about the phenomenology as an approach to arrive at certain forms of knowledge. In contemporary times, when you look at the gender studies, particularly by Judith Butler, when she argues about the performities. So, there is a streak of line, but there are many scholars who are not who are not willing to accept this level of existentialism. However, their thought is somewhat influenced by the existential philosophy, and even in Sartre as a philosophy, it is more in the field of literature. So, Nausea and other kind of texts which he wrote is more about this kind of philosophy than his philosophical texts like Being and Nothingness and so on. So, existentialism as a philosophy is basically about this kind of argumentation, where human life is seen when it chooses to make something out of its life. Without that, there is no pre-given meaning or essence either to the human being or to the world as such. So, that is on existentialism, which we are not going to have a separate lecture on that. And if you have any further question, you can put up in the discussion forum, and I will be happy to respond to that as well. Some of you have also asked about the missed assignments, and that is very what to say serious issue, and especially for those of you who have registered for the course and you have missed some of the assignments. So, as you know, for the grading of this course, we have allotted about 25% of marks to the assignment. So, for 12 weeks you have had 12 assignments, and the marks that is assigned to these 12 assignments is based on 8 out of 12. So, we are going to include your best 8 assignments in which you have performed better to calculate the mark which is assigned for the assignment. So, even if you have missed 1 or 2 or even 3 assignments, still you can be assured about the inclusion of your marks for the assignments, because finally, we are going to calculate the best 8 out of 12 assignments. So, if you have done at least 8, you should be sure about gaining that 25%. If you have missed 1 or 2 even among the 8, then I will suggest at this point we cannot accept any submission of assignments, except if there is a genuine reason. We will look into it and we will get back to you. And I request you to focus more on the final examination, which will be of multiple choice question. There will not be subjective questions, and do well in the final examination, which has about 75%. So, that is on assignments, and as you are aware, in this given circumstances, we do not have a certain date which I can tell you when exam will be conducted, but whenever such decision is taken, we will certainly inform you through discussion forum, through your mails and so on. The nature of end semester exam would be, as I said, the multiple choice question, and there will be no subjective answer required during the final examination. So, you will have the choice, and the component would be on the basis of assignments, recall, and also your understanding of the concepts that is part of this course. So, the question will be based on that analytical assessment of your understanding of the themes and contents that is part of the course. Okay, before I take the question that you are putting up in the chat box section, there is one more question which I would like to respond, is by Disha, and the question is, what is the best form of government according to Plato? And this question is something which is I believe more appropriate in a course on Western political thought, but however I would like to respond to this question. So, Plato, as you know, first thing first, that we use state and government interchangeably, but there is a difference between state and the government. So, and in modern liberal democracy, it is much more obvious that the government comes and go every 5 years, and state is something which is a permanent body, which is a kind of abstract ideal which unite not just the government, but also the territory, population, and a notion of sovereignty. So, if you talk about the notion of ideal state according to Plato, his ideal state is a state which is ruled by philosopher king, and he has this specific notion of philosopher king, where he or she is equipped to in the dialectics or understand the nature of the political, which is not accessible to other classes in the state. So, for instance, Plato divides this population into 3 classes: artisans, guardians, and the philosopher king. And when they all work according to their capabilities, the state perform in a much more ideal manner. So, here is a kind of organic understanding of a state, where the government is not disconnected with the population or the other sections in the society, but they all work together to give a coherence or a kind of effectiveness to the state. And of course, that state is limited both in terms of geography and also in terms of population. So, for Plato, the ideal state is a state which is ruled by the philosopher king. So, either the king should be the philosopher or the philosopher should be the king. And when you have a state which is ruled by the philosopher, you will have the state or the government which would be the ideal state. And you know, in the political thinking and theorization, we always aspire to something better, something ideal, and to have it, Plato argues about the state which is ruled by the philosopher king. However, subsequently he revised this ideal, because ideal is not always practical. So, he also failed in experimenting when he got the opportunity to make a ruler the philosopher. He failed, and then subsequently revised his notion of ideal state in Laws and Statesmen. Nonetheless, in Plato's Republic, the ideal state remains the state ruled by the philosopher king. Now, let me take the question which you are putting on this. So, Jaya Sudha is asking about okay, so she is declaring about BCC Hindu College channel. Okay, hello all, Abhishek Gulati from Diwan versus Institute of Engineering. So, you are introducing yourself. Okay, now okay, so Ranjana Sarkar is also asking you. Good afternoon, Ranjana. So once again, let me request you, if you have any question and doubts, please mention it in the chat box, and I will be happy to respond. And I am very happy that you are introducing yourself, and good to know about your backgrounds, and some of you are teaching in different colleges and university. And do share your feedback on the course and its contents as well. Hello all, myself Kalayar C. Karikalan from AVS College of Arts and Science, Periyar University. Hello, I am the Jyoti Barai asking about introducing herself as Chandi Bai, Himmatlal Mansukhani College from Mumbai. So I have not got any question as such. You have introduced yourself in this live session. Please also put up any question or doubts that you may have, and I will be very happy to respond to them. And I have enjoyed interacting with you on the discussion forum, responding to your queries and comments. And before final exams happens, you can still use that discussion forum for any queries and comments, and also whatever times we have now, you can put up your question in this live chat section as well. Or particularly those of you who have asked the question on the Google spreadsheet that was provided to you, and the answer which I have provided, if you have to ask anything further, you can also do that. Okay, so it is a good experience to interact with you. So we have there is a question by someone, Carmel Maths. As a teacher, apart from academic duties, what are the other social activities? Yeah, I really want to say that ultimately this is a good question for all of us to reflect upon. And in the recent years, we have been living a life where we are too much determined or guided by the forces of state or the market, and somehow we find ourselves not having enough time for the community and for the society. And it is true for any other profession, and it is equally true for the academics as well. But ultimately, I think we all belong to a society or a community, and whatever our professional roles, we are also responsible for the society or the for the community. And the expertise that we have as a professional, we can use also for the betterment of the society. And I think it is equally applicable to the academics as well. One should engage with the community or the society. So, besides teaching and research, which is the primary responsibility of an academician, academician is also seen in many society as the conscience keeper, which he or she uses on many political issues, where there are different parties taking different position, and none of them are seriously resolving the problems that majority of population faces. So, suppose in the contemporary times during the COVID, many migrants and other poorer sections of the society faces many problems. So, for the academicians, the task is not just to teach and research. The socially conscious academician will also be someone who highlight the problems that society face and bring it to the notice of those who are in the power or those who are in the government. And you may find in your life many academicians and scholars argue about the voiceless or those who do not have enough power living at the margin of the society. So, there are many ways in which a teacher or an academician can perform his or her duties, and we all do. Udisha, glad you are here. So, can you please tell what are David Easton's views on decline of political theory? Yeah, so this is part. A few minutes ago, I discussed this question of the decline of political theory. So, in Western tradition, the positivism, which was influenced by science and the objectivity and consistency that is available in the scientific experiment, there was this belief that in social sciences as well, particularly in the political science, we should develop a model which will work in all the contexts. So, we do not have to think about the specificities of a particular context. So, system theory or structuralism or behavioralism was influenced by this positivist tradition in social sciences, and there was also this differentiation between first order political theory and thought and the second order political theory. So, first order would deal with the normative question or the moral question. The second order is seen more as engaging with the political problem as it exists in the society or in the community. David Easton's system theory was in accordance with that mode of thinking, where he was working on developing a model which will explain the political condition in any society without any consideration to the specificities or the context. So, with the rise of positivism, there was this understanding that there is not much gain by engaging with the political thought or the philosophy of the past years. So, in the tradition of political thought, you have so much of disputation. So, Aristotle differs from Plato, Rousseau differs from Hobbes and Locke, Marx differs from Hegel, and really in actual real practical life, we do not get much answer from such disputation. So, there was a kind of understanding that political theory is dead or declined, but nonetheless, as if you recall first few lectures in this course, we have seen that how political theory transform itself and continue to be relevant, not just by engaging with the normative theory, which remains the core task in political theory, that you have to reflect, you have to generalize, but while reflecting and generalizing, you also have to engage with the practical problems. So, exploratory and other kinds of political theory that we have discussed in the course is in accordance to that kind of thing, and there is a kind of revival or reassertion of political theory also. And in answering the one of the question about the relevance of political theory in the beginning of this live session, I have also said that how political theory remains a very relevant subject, so long as politics is important for human society, and when politics is relevant, one cannot avoid the normative or moral question, and to engage with the moral and normative question, you require political theory. So, that is my response to the Eastern views on David Eastern views on the decline of political theory. Plato, there is Pragati Satyaram asking what point explain about Plato. So, I am planning to offer one course on Western political thought also. This is a kind of self promotion. You are welcome to enroll and register for that course as well. About the Plato on the question of ideal state, I have just said that he was thinking about an ideal state, which is very different from our own contemporary states, both in terms of geography and territory, and how to lead a good life in a state or in a polity. The argument provided by Plato is when we act according to our nature. There is some innate nature, some essence in all of us, and he divides this population in three sections: artisans and traders, guardians, the military commanders and warriors, and philosopher king. And all these three sections are guided by their own essence, and they can lead in good life or the ideal life when they act according to their own nature. And what kind of polity allow them to act according to their own nature? There he conceptualized the idea of a state which is ruled by the philosopher king. So, very briefly on Plato, I will say that. For more, you are welcome to enroll and register for the course I am going to offer next semester on Western political thought. Manasi Kedari asked, what sir, please suggest some good books on political theory. Manasi, if you go to the first few lectures in this course, the last slide of each lecture I have explained different books, but for your information I will also provide some books here, and you can refer to. Certainly one book is by Rajiv Bhargava and Ashokacharya, which you should refer to, and then by H. John and G. Paul, Introduction to Political Theory from Pearson Education, you can refer. G. Gerald, Political Concepts and Political Theory, you should refer to. Brian Barry, Liberty and Justice Essay in Political Theory is another good book. And then there are many other texts which I have provided in the PPTs, which you can refer to know more about the reading. Certainly John Hoffman and Paul Graham, Introduction to Political Theory, published by Routledge in 2015, is a very good book to understand different concepts in political theory. So, and besides, for each lecture, as I have said, the last slide of the lecture deals with the key text or key references which you should refer to understand that particular topics which I have discussed in that particular lecture. which I will recommend you to refer to. So, I hope I answer your question. So, I hope I have answered some of your questions, and if you have some question or doubts on any of the topics which you can use on thank you Manasi. So, those questions and comments I encourage you to raise on the discussion forum, and you will get the reply from us within 24 hours as have been the practice. And I once again thank you for enroll. Is there any more question? Okay. Yeah, so there is one suggestion by Vignesh about Introduction to Political Theory by O.P. Gawa. This is also a very good textbook on political theory, which I will recommend you to use. And so Mansi is asking that, sir, please give links of your previous lectures. So Mansi, I think this course is on NPTEL website or on Swayam forum. So if you type, if you go to that website and type this course, Introduction to Political Theory, you will get access to all the lectures or the PPTs or even the transcripts of all the lectures, and that I hope you can visit and watch and also give comments too. But now it is too late to enroll or register for this semester. If it is rerun in the next semester or next years, you can enroll and register. So, that you cannot do, but you can certainly access the videos and lectures, and you can also go to the IITZ NPTEL YouTube website, and on that you can go to my course and watch all the videos that is available. So, let me conclude this live session by once again thanking you all for your participation in this live session, and also for enrolling and registering for this course. I will really appreciate if you give your feedback on the course, the contents, and the teaching methodology that I have followed. And whatever learning outcomes you have while doing this course. So, I look forward to your feedbacks and suggestion. It helps us improving the course contents and also the teaching methodology. So, I will be very happy to hear from you, and I once again thank you for enrolling, registering for this course, and your regular participation on the discussion forum and also during the live session. I once again request those of you who have registered for this course, if you have any question, comments, you can put it on the discussion forum and you will get the response. So, during this COVID-19 situation, I wish you that you keep healthy and keep safe. Okay. So, there is a question by someone who can start political party. So, this is not exactly related to this course. I mean, you know, I assume that you are asking in the context of India or in any context or in any other liberal democracies. All citizens are given this right to form any association, including the political party. However, to fight an election in India, you have to register with the Election Commission of India, and there is a proper procedure for registering your political party. So, you can form the party. So, any group or any individual or any organization can float a party, but that party has to register with the Election Commission of India to participate in the election. So, I hope that is the brief answer to your question. So, political party is something which can be formed by any groups, there is no restriction, there is no limit to who can form the party, and if you look at the number of party, it is more than thousands in India. Of course, those are recognized but unregistered. However, the registered parties are those who perform better in the election. So, these are state parties or national parties, but there are many parties, majority of them which is registered with the Election Commission of India, but are not recognized party, either as a state party or a national party. To be recognized as a state and national party, that party has to perform or fulfill certain criteria in the assembly or in the general election. So, that is my answer to you, and to all of you I will wish you good luck and keep safe, and best of luck for your final exam. So, that is all for this live session today. I hope I have answered to some of your queries and comments. You are welcome to ask any queries and comments on the discussion forum if you have registered. If some of you who have not registered or enrolled, you can still watch all the lectures which is available on IITG NPTEL YouTube website. So, you can go to that and watch all the videos. Do share your comments and feedbacks. I will be happy to respond. So, thank you all. Thank you for participating and joining this live session. Thank you, and best of luck for the final examination.